All right, guys, so we have a very interesting scenario that is happening right now as we speak, and Sword and Shield alternative arts are just going through the roof, and what seems to be a real upward trend for a lot of these cards. And last year, we actually saw one of the biggest dips with Sword and Shield alt arts, which was actually a really interesting era. Now, the reason why that was such a weird thing to be happening during that time was because literally from 2021, all the way through 2022 and even at the start of 2023, these cards were just skyrocketing in value and no one could catch them. You could literally not get one. They were just going up, up, up. And then finally around halfway throughout 2023, they finally started coming down in value and everyone just thought, oh, they're gonna bottom out now and nothing's gonna happen. Now, some people were actually buying this dip and it looks like some really interesting things have happened throughout this period, and it looks like Sword and Shield sets are now coming back on the rise. And I want to go through some of the cards and just take you through that. Right now, Sword and Shield, and I did make a video about it before, about how Sword and Shield sets are all rising, and I'll link that video for you here if you want to watch it. But pretty much what's happened is just Astral Radiance just sold out on the Pokemon Center. We've got Silver Tempest right now being purchased through the Pokemon Center, and you're kind of getting left with only a few Sword and Shield sets left in the market. Last year we saw the dip. Right now we're seeing a really interesting time, but what's really important to know is, guys, with the Sword and Shield alt arts, never forget how rare they were to pull. I mean, from what we know and from what the pull rate data tells us, they were 1 in every 12 booster boxes. Pretty much 1 per every 2 cases. These are super rare cards, so it was really interesting to see them dip as much as they did, but now some interesting things are happening. So let's go through it. The first one we've got here is the incredible Lugia V from Silver Tempest. Look, and this card is quite debatable because some people really don't like the design, how it looks like a sea monster, and some people really like the direction they took with it. So it's really interesting to see, but what I want to do is I want to pull it up into the year graph, and you can see it came off from that high, which I was talking about. Pretty much you can see it now, and luckily we can actually see it on TCG Play. I was sitting at 178 US, and check how much this went down. It literally bottomed out to 114. And guys, I'm gonna go now and back on that 3 month, and you can see from there, from literally January 28 to now, check it out. Now we're sitting at 136 USD for the Lugia V. That's a pretty substantial rise. And to be honest, if we even close that in on the month, that looks like it is going up, man. It looks like it's just climbing, climbing, climbing. So it's gonna be really interesting to see. Like, they've already gone to 178 before. Can it get there again? Look, Silver Tempest did have the reprint last year, but that's now now stock of that is getting exhausted, right? So we're kind of running out of the Silver Tempest. So pretty much what we're gonna have in the market is soon gonna be what is available. So it's very interesting to see, and this one's actually one to look out for. Moving on next, guys, is the Charizard V. Now, this is the alternative art from Brilliant Stars. And it was a really loved card. Obviously, it was a Charizard. But guys, let's go into that year graph again, and we can see where it was kind of reached its high in May, which was $157. Guys, check out how quickly and suddenly this dipped. And I mean, I wouldn't even say this is dip. This kind of crashed, man. To pretty much go from $150 to $103. It never made it under a $100 card, which I found super interesting. But check that out, it's on 103. I'm gonna go back into that 3 month timeline, and you can see in this window from February, all at the same time, they slowly started rising. And just check that out, man. It's had this massive bump up, and now it's sitting at $126. Quite an expensive card. Honestly, it's not my favorite. I actually graded one of these myself and I did sell it. I got a 9, but I'm not too much of a fan of this card, to be honest. I know some people really love it. To me, I'm a little bit over Charizard, to tell you the truth. It doesn't really, like, I think there's so many other cool cards to kind of look out for. But yeah, look, 126, and now it's kind of looking like it's gone a little bit down. It's gonna be interesting to see where this one goes. I'm actually quite excited to see how far it's gonna go. Now, one of the biggest ones is the Giratina V. Now guys, this is an iconic card, and it is in a fantastic artwork. This artwork is sensational. Like I said, man, it just looks like it's out of an art museum. It's a really great card, but check out what's happened in the last 3 months. Guys, it was sitting at 242 US, and check this out. This has been steadily going up, and now look at that, $292 in the last 3 months. Check it out from the year graph though. Look what's happened with Giratina. It literally it went from 328 and it bottomed out to its absolute minimum, which was 232. And now this thing is climbing, man, and it is climbing pretty steadily, and it looks like it's gonna, you know, I would be very, very surprised if this didn't surpass its previous threshold. Given the fact of how good of an artwork it is, how unique it is, and how hard it is to pull, this is a really loved card. And as much as I don't like seeing cards go so expensive, it is cool to see that the Sword and Shield era has so much demand. And, you know, don't rule Sword and Shield out, man, because like I said, it was the golden age. It brought a lot of fans in, and who knows years down the line how much these cards are going to be loved. Moving on to the Umbreon. Now, this one was really interesting because people, and including myself, I actually thought this one was going to go the opposite way. I did make a video about it, and I'm fully transparent. I didn't think that this would climb up back like this. I'm actually really shocked that this one has had such a big climb up, because to be honest, I thought this card was really expensive. I really did. But look at this, guys, from the year graph. It hit that 652, and look at this, man. It dropped all the way to 491. And what has happened here? It surpassed its previous high. Look at this in the last 3 months, what's happened with this card. It literally went from 540 US, and with the Evolving Skies kind of booming, this card decided, you know what, I'm following you too. And look at this, man. It is sitting now at 674. That is, even in the last month, this thing is going high, and who knows where this card's going to go. It's had an enormous price increase. And, you know, don't forget, this card isn't sitting at it's not sitting at low amounts. This card just decided, you know what, now it's my time to boom and I'm going to go hard. So it's really interesting to see that the Umbreon's getting this much kind of respect. Moving on to Leafeon, guys. Now, I'm going to just sit this one on the month graph here, the Leafeon VMAX. And check this out, 160, it was staying. And just out of nowhere, this one shot up to 171 US. I'm gonna go on the year graph. And you can see this one's actually had a very earlier rise than the others, which is super interesting because people were kind of really staying off from Sword and Shield sets. And now this one went from 106, and it's kind of actually surpassing now its previous kind of high. So, you know, we're seeing new highs for Sword and Shield sets, guys. This is really interesting because I didn't really be thinking that we would be seeing these new highs come out, but it looks like we are. And it looks like whatever you thought the new high was previously, well, guess what? The market's saying, hey, we're going to even go higher. You thought that was the max? Well, guess what? We got a new level that we're going to go. So it's a really interesting time. But, you know, not all of them are going up, you know, that crazy. You know, there is some weird opportunity still left in the market. This Tyranitar V from Battle Styles. You know, Battle Styles, I'm not a fan of it, right? But, geez, man, I'm not going to lie. It is being super, super underlooked at the moment. And the fact that even Tyranitar V, right now, this is a really cool artwork. I love it. Look at that. In the last month, it's kind of had this weird dip. It's sitting at that. It hasn't been really doing anything. We go on the year graph, and this one's kind of went from a high of 112, and it's dropped. And you know what? You know, we can't predict what's going to happen, but my just own guess with this one is it's very unlikely that you're going to see every Sword and Shield set rise and every card rise. And Battle Styles and these cards are just going to be left like this. I think right now, this one is looking really, really under the scene. No one's really looking at it. I've got a very weird feeling that this one's not going to stay this low for that long. Just given the fact that how the market's performing right now and how many people are really bullish for Sword and Shield cards. Because I think people are realizing, hey, oh wait, my window's now going. Now, I've always said, oh, my window's now. Now everyone's like, oh, now's my time to get him. Moving on to an amazing card, which is the Galarian Moltres V. Check this out, guys. Last year, sitting at 138 USD, and it just went down, and it went to 117. Then people thought, oh yeah, it was going up, and it went all the way to 129, and then it just dropped like a pin. Look how steep that drop was here, guys. That is literally just went down. And now it's also now having this huge rise up. Really, really weird how it's sitting. But guys, you know, this is a sensational artwork. It's very hard to pull from Chilling Reign. It's getting older too, man. It's not like it's a young card anymore. It's now approaching its 3rd year, you know, going into 2025. It's going to be 4 years. As it goes on, it's going to become an older and older card. It's going to be interesting to see where this one goes. Moving on to another one, which is an iconic card from Chilling Reign. It is the Blaziken VMAX. Let's go in the year. This one's had a really interesting dip, and it went from 226 and it dropped all the way down to 161, and now it's moving up. I wouldn't be surprised if this one even breaks its previous record, guys, just given the fact of how great of an artwork it is. And it is the chase of Chilling Reign. Chilling Reign booster boxes are currently going really high in value, so it's going to be really interesting to see if this one's going to break its previous threshold. We've just seen it with Leafeon, we've seen it with Umbreon. Giratina looks like it's about to break its alt high. I think Blaziken VMAX is one to look out for as well, guys. Moving on to the Espeon alt art from Sword and Shield Fusion Strike. And unsurprisingly, with Fusion Strike's announcement of it being sold out, it looks like all Fusion Strike cards are also following that same trajectory of going really high in value. Go on the year graph, you can see market high of 155, dropped down to a market low of 119, and now it's sitting at 147. I can confidently say you're only around $10 away from it breaking its previous high, and it looks like how Fusion Strike is going, we can pretty confidently say this one's about to go up as well. And guys, even with the Machamp V, and you can see the market high for this was 117, and you can see it dropped all the way to 78 US, and this was only just under a month and a half ago, guys. So that was its market low, and you can see now it's gone up to about 100 US. So it's climbed back up, guys. It's looking like a really interesting card to pick up. This is getting a really interesting time for Sword and Shield, and alt arts are booming, and it seems like that little dip was just a slight quieting in the market, because I think what's happening with these sets getting sold out, I think everyone's having the same kind of mentality with Sword and Shield. This was the golden age. This was the era that kind of reignited Pokemon. Hey, this is gonna be one of the last windows we can get these cards. And I think everyone's got the same idea. Everyone's going into the market at the same time. But you know what? It's hard to collect all of these, man, because they are expensive. Like if you wanna get PSA 10 copies of every single alt art in Sword and Shield, you're gonna be forking out a lot of money, man. So, really thinking what's gonna be next. Scarlet and Violet, that's now having a little bit of a weird slowdown with 151. It's still available. People aren't too bullish on some of the chase cards in it. And guys, with these alt arts rising, it really leaves us with a question: what other cards are gonna skyrocket in the future? Well, thankfully, guys, I answered that video right here, and I cover that topic in depth with the 10 most likely cards I believe are gonna skyrocket, and I give my reasons and rationale why. With Sword and Shield cards booming, it's a really interesting time in the market. Click that video, guys, and I'll see you there.